Hey guys, and welcome back to Monka, where double stuff ensues, but I kind of wanted to talk about a food today because, I don't know, I just kind of want to do this. A food that I've had quite a bit of, but it seems like it might be discontinued in the near future. More on that a little bit later, but today I'll be talking about Pop Tarts, specifically the Eggo variety that have actually been out for a decent amount now, but it seems like it might get discontinued in the more recent future because these have kind of been drying up on the shelves. I haven't really been seeing them anywhere. I specifically bought this box at Walmart, but this was the last box that they had, and I'm not really seeing it anywhere else. And for the past few months, to be honest, I've seen the same expiration date every time. It's kind of running behind what the other boxes have on it. This box says it expires at the end of February of 2024, and pretty much everywhere I've looked, it's had the same expiration. It's been like that for a few months now. And other types of Pop Tarts are kind of like within June or July expirations right now, so I'm thinking that these are honestly going to get discontinued, maybe in lieu of the fact that the strawberry milkshake are coming out. I hope they don't get discontinued, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. But the flavor describes itself as a frosted maple flavor, and obviously it's supposed to be inspired by Eggo. But the long and the short of my opinion on these Pop Tarts is that I've been eating them actually for a decent amount of time, ever since they came out, to be honest. And I like them a decent amount because the flavor is really good, and honestly they're probably the sweetest Pop Tarts, and they're probably one of the better Pop Tarts that they put out in recent memory with the new flavors that they've come out with. But that is what one Eggo Pop Tart pastry looks like. As you can see, it's not really coming off on the camera very well, but the pastry is kind of like a weird off yellow that's kind of weird looking, but it also has white frosting and then those kind of yellow squiggles on top as well. And as you can see, the inside kind of has like an almost maple syrup color to it that you would kind of expect from a maple syrup. But breaking it down in terms of the pastry or the crust, or however you want to put it, of the Eggo Pop Tarts, they're actually not the same flavor. They kind of look like they might be just a generic kind of standard Pop-Tart crust, but they actually are a little bit different, to be honest. Now, I'm not sure if that's because of the food dye they put into the crust, and that food dye maybe gives it a little bit different of a taste, but the crust definitely does taste different from a regular one, and definitely does taste better. Now, one thing to say about the crust is, as you can see, and that's not usually on regular Pop-Tarts, but it's got the squiggles, and those squiggles actually overlap pretty heavily with the crust, so even when you're getting only the crust, you're actually still getting the squiggles, so you're still getting something along with the crust. You're not just getting the straight crust. And it's pretty well filled as well with the filling, so usually if you're just getting crust, you're also getting some of that filling and the squiggles as well. Now, whether the crust or the pastry actually tastes like a waffle, I would say probably not, but you are getting a decent amount of sweetness from the squiggles, because you'll usually get squiggles with the crust. And as well, while I'd say that it doesn't really taste like a waffle, it has something there that makes it taste different from a regular crust. Maybe it's an artificial butter flavor or something like that, or maybe, like I said, it's food dye, but it definitely does taste different. Now, in terms of the frosting and filling, this is pretty much where Eggo's kind of take the title of being the sweetest Pop Tarts currently on the shelf. Now, of course, you can compare that and be like, well, maybe Confetti Cupcake, but honestly, I'd say that these are sweeter than Confetti Cupcake. The frosting, I believe, is just kind of a generic sugariness. I don't think there's actually any flavor in it, but it does add a nice crunch to it. It's a firmer frosting than the other typical pastries, and it actually has kind of a crunch to it, and I like that a lot, to be honest. And as well, the squiggles add an interesting texture to the pastry overall. Now, where the most of the flavor comes in is in the filling. The filling is super sweet, and when I say super sweet, I mean like super sweet, and like I said, the frosting very much enhances that, but it has a very syrupy sweetness, like a very identifiable sweetness that tastes very much like syrup. And it also tastes like maple, except it doesn't taste like a natural maple. It very much tastes like an artificial maple. Now, it isn't an overwhelmingly artificial maple, it's just kind of a maple that you can identify as artificial. However, there's no adverse like flavor to the artificialness of it. You can just identify that it's not genuine maple that they're using. However, the flavor is still really good, and the sweetness is just different because it's not like a regular sweetness. It's actually like a syrupy sweetness as you expect from like maple syrup. And so that really actually makes these kind of banger, to be honest, and more of a, like I said before, kind of a standout of the more newer Pop Tarts that have been coming out recently. But overall, my opinion on Eggo Pop Tarts is that they're actually pretty banger, to be honest, and a pretty unique flavor for the Pop Tarts lineup. Now, like I said, I'm kind of speculating that it might get discontinued soon, but hopefully I'm wrong. Just from what I've been seeing, though, I think they might discontinue it, and if they do, that'd be heavily disappointing because these are actually really, really good. Like I said, hopefully I'm wrong, but if I'm not, I definitely recommend that you pick up a box and try them because they're actually pretty good. But thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'll see you. Stay chill.